What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. In League of Legends there's actually quite a few items that don't get the attention they deserve for a variety of reasons. Most of these items are situational, but the situations that you should build them in pop up a lot more often than they actually get built, and so we're left with a bunch of underrated items. As we count down the list, we'll be measuring these items by how powerful they are, and how unpopular they are as options in build paths. Let's get started. Number 5 is Wit's End. On bruisers who can benefit from attack speed, this item really caps out in value when faced with a situation where you want to build magic resistance. It's 113% gold efficient, which is great value, and the attack speed and on-hit damage is really powerful, and the magic resistance is enough for you to be able to maintain a meaningful defense versus any burst or poke mage. There's a lot of melee bruisers who can benefit a lot from this type of on-hit attack speed, and the magic resistance goes a long way in a lot of situations. Once you start auto-attacking a target and stacking the passive, the value of this item becomes insane, and it only really goes unnoticed because many don't consider it as an option. It's also a pretty cheap pickup at 25-50 gold, and can be built as a second item, or later on in builds if you're playing someone like Kale and want more magic resistance shred. It gives the right mix of damage and enough tankiness to be an option on any bruiser who can benefit from attack speed and is looking to pick up MR, and the value of the stats goes a long way. Number 4 is Mejai's Soul Stealer. This item gets overlooked a lot because it is perceived as risky and potentially too greedy of a pickup for most players, but it actually only takes one stack past the initial 5 to become gold efficient, and once you pick up 2 or more stacks, the value of this item just totally skyrockets. Around 120% gold efficiency is when an item starts to become totally ridiculous value, and with a Mejai's, all you need to do is pick up 3 stacks to hit that level. Sure, I can get that maybe you shouldn't build it if you're already behind, but if you're playing a safe, high-range mage, building it when ahead by even just a tiny bit, or even when you're already even, can really pay off. And with it only taking 2 stacks to start scaling at a ridiculous level, it's not nearly as greedy or as ambitious as the item looks on paper. And if you ever manage to hit the range of around 15 stacks or more, the item will make you so incredibly strong to the point where you should be able to hard carry the game, and can go a long way to helping you snowball even if some of your teammates are behind. Number 3 is Iceborne Gauntlet. This item does a great job of having strong value, as the 111% gold efficiency comboed with the extremely strong passive ensures that you're going to get a ton of bang for your buck on this item. On any AP champion that is melee, this item will go a long way to making you super sticky and gives you great value in stats as well. The item goes underappreciated because the combo of armor, mana, CDR, and ability power tends to be a little bit of a weird combination, but on a lot of champions it works out quite well. On any melee AP champion, this is a fantastic option when you are looking for utility and some armor rather than just raw damage, which, with the utility that Iceborne Gauntlet provides, is something that should be a lot more common in this Juggernaut meta where kiting like this is really powerful. And not only will it help you kite, but the low cooldown makes it great for chasing and sticking onto targets, so it's a great option to help you pick off opponents, and the extra crowd control is something that a lot of players don't expect and can go a really long way since the cooldown is so short and the slow is so potent, not to mention area of effect. Number 2 is Hexdrinker. This item almost single-handedly is the entire reason why AD champions usually have a good matchup versus AP champions in lane. The stats are exactly what you want in the matchup, just about gold efficient, and the shield from Hexdrinker, especially in the early to mid game, makes you almost unkillable, especially if your opponent relies on burst or poke to finish you off. The shield becomes a huge lifesaver and is often unexpected and surprising, and is going to decide a lot more fights than you might think. Not to mention the AD and MR are also the perfect stats for a 1v1 in that kind of matchup. And the fact that it's such a cheap pickup means that you can build it as early as your first back to completely change the dynamic of the laning phase in your favor. When playing an AD champion in lane versus an AP champion, this item is incredibly powerful and honestly should be the first buy just about every time since it is so useful. And number 1 is Banner of Command. Now this one's a little bit more surprising, but right now in ranked 5s and coordinated play, Banner of Command is almost a must buy on support or possibly on an AP jungler, and we're seeing it at Worlds a lot too in a bunch of games. It goes passed up because the stats are kind of random, but on support the stats of an item don't really matter that much, and being able to push out a lane is really important for objective and team-based play, and since you get the gold from the CS of the creep you promoted, you aren't really missing CS if you push out a wave using this item. In the late game, having a player pushing out bottom can often cost you Baron or multiple turrets since you lose the pressure from not being in position to fight, and Banner of Command really stops that from happening completely, as you can activate the item and then just go group with your team, while also building out of Aegis of the Legion to give your team that awesome magic resistance aura. It's also much more gold efficient than Locket, and so ends up being built in just about every game you want to build Aegis. And because this item gets passed up so often, but is actually a very powerful option right now, Banner of Command is the most underrated item in League of Legends.